If Kamala won, would you agree that I could make the equivalent statement of this country hates men because...
I mean, considering we've only had men presidents, no, it's not equal.
Yeah, I don't think they were elected president because they're men.
I do. This one, for sure. I think that's why Donald Trump was elected. I think that's the only reason that he's ever gotten elected.
Do you have any evidence for this claim?
He ran against Hillary Clinton and he won. And then he ran against Joe Biden and then he lost. And then he ran against Kamala Harris and then he won. He's only won against women. That's evidence.
It's not.
What more evidence can I give you?
So just because bad thing happened means bad thing happens.
I gave you the 3 terms that he ran for. He won against 2 women and lost against 1 man.
Oh my God, bro. Just because Donald Trump beats 2 women, that's not evidence. It could have been strictly policy related.
Hello, everybody. This is Ghost Hunter 385. Welcome back to the show, everybody. I hope you enjoy. Hey, everybody. Ghost Hunter 385 here. Well, let's talk about today. And today is that women assume that men hate women. Now, this is not true. Now, to be honest here, are there some men out there who truly and honestly only opinion of women is, you do your business and then you just toss her aside? Yeah, there are guys out there like that. They don't even see women as human. They see them as play toys. Sadly, that is a true statement. But does this mean all men? Does this mean red pill men? Not in the slightest. Most men tend to have genuine affection for women. I wouldn't call it love, honestly, but, there is a certain amount of affection. And if you don't believe me, here's a guy who's talking about it.
One of the things that happens to those of us that speak out about men's issues, the plight of men dating, men getting married, is that they love to apply labels to us. Those labels are something along the lines of, you hate women, you're full of rage, you're full of anger, or you hate marriage, again, you're full of rage, anger, blah, blah, blah. Fact of the matter is, though, I and most people who speak out on behalf of men don't hate women. In fact, we love women. We respect women. We believe in equality. And that's why we're speaking out. And the same thing goes with marriage. Most of us do like marriage. We would love to find someone to be married to. The problem these days, though, is it's a risk versus reward. And there's not much reward and a lot of risk. And acknowledging that fact doesn't mean you hate it.
And that is for the guy from Men Need to Be Heard. Go check out his channel. Does a lot of good stuff there. But anyway, back on to subject here. Any man who stands up for men's rights or as a red pillar, we don't hate women at all. Sadly, very, very sadly here, folks, the truth is that women have projected this. Now, I can hear if you're saying, what do I mean? Well, this is what I mean here. This is a study that was done in 2017, I believe. My screen's all kind of jacked up, so I can't see it from here. From the, University State of Georgia or Georgia State University, whichever one of those two. Basically, this article talks about how these red pill men live in an echo chamber, and all it does is just make things worse, is the basic English way to say this, as it were. So because you have these people who group together in these kinds of situations, it creates an echo chamber. And now, is there any real thought going on here? Or is it just boom, negative experience, boom, negative experience, boom, negative experience? Sadly, it's reinforcement of the negative stereotype here. It's sad, yes, But men are not the only one guilty of this either. This is a screenshot from Reddit where it's, ladies, what do you think of men who preach red pill? And it's basically the same thing. Women who lean more liberal, oh, we don't trust conservative men. Oh, we cannot feel safe around conservative men. You know, men bad, this, that, and the other thing. Now, there are a few married women in the comments who say, this doesn't affect me because I'm married and I trust my husband, my partner, however you want to phrase this. But it's still the same thing, the same echo chamber for both men and women here. And it's not real. Well, the echo chambers are real. Let's get that straight here. Yes, the echo chambers are very, very real. But the problem is this a reflection of real life? Sadly, it's not. I mean, just a few weeks ago, the Emperor sent me a video clip of putting what amounts to a PUA, a male feminist, and an MRA up on a stage and just having a go at everybody. That's basically what this was. I don't like the video, so I'm not going to put it as part of this video. But essentially, it's one giant, hit piece from the 90s, I believe, about, the purviews of men. Because in reality, it's not real. Why is it not real? Well, you pick 3 very specific men who fit, these stereotypes of the pickup artist, the male feminist, and the men's rights activist. You stick these 3 on a stage and just let a bunch of producers write all the questions and other things. Is that real honesty? No. What you really need is at least one guy from every walk of life here to actually go on and say, is this really all of us? I mean, to be bluntly honest, put a diverse cast of men up there. You put a farmer, you put a trucker, you put every guy who's not done every single job out there, but you put enough men there to where there is a diversity of men. And, you'll find that there are men who disagree with this, that, and the other thing. Sure. Yeah, 100%. Not gonna lie. But you would find that more and more, you would find that the average men there would look between these 3 and, sadly, they'd be kind of disgusted with the pickup artist, but they'd understand where he's coming from because, sadly, a lot of guys who practice pickup back in the 2000s, guess what? It actually worked for them. Sad for the women, but not for the men. It worked for the men. And as for dating for men here, you wonder why men don't date? Here, let's hear it from the woman who came out as bi and started dating women and see what her experience is.
So as you may remember, I came out as bisexual last year. And since then, I have been dating women. And what I found very fascinating is that the more I date women, the more I find myself understanding heterosexual men. Let me explain. Exhibit A. I was on a first date with a girl, who asked me out, by the way, this is relevant, because when the check came, she never once made a move to pay. Not even like the fake, let me reach for my purse move. And though I don't mind paying on a date, part of me felt like, the offer would have been nice. I was also a little taken aback that she didn't even say thank you. And I never heard from her again. It really made me feel like she just asked me out so she could have a free dinner. And the moment I thought that, I was like, oh my God, I sound like all of my guy friends right now. And my argument against why guys should pay for dates has always been like, look, girls take hours to get ready. Our investment is looking really nice for you. Makeup, clothes, that costs money too. But we were both girls in this situation. We both took hours to get ready, so I definitely felt slighted. Exhibit B. On another date, I went back to a girl's house and I ended up making friends with her cat. That's not a pun, I'm talking about her literal, actual animal. And she said, "Wow, my cat never likes anyone. I better go out and buy a wedding dress." And again, I felt like I got some serious perspective. I have been guilty of making these kinds of jokes on dates with men. I never really thought anything of it. I was just being silly. But then when I was on the receiving end of it, I suddenly understood the panic. And finally, Exhibit C. One girl invited me back into her house, and her specific words were, "Do you want to come in and make out?" Obviously, I'm like, "Yeah, you're really pretty. I want to press my face to yours." But then when we got there, we both just sat on the couch and she talked till like 3 a.m. And I was like, "Yo girl, I gotta wake up at like 6 a.m. I was told there would be kisses here. There are no kisses." And like, look, I don't wanna sound like an asshole. Like, I don't mind talking. I love talking. But she could have said, "Do you wanna come in and just talk?" And I would have had totally different expectations for the evening. You know, finally I started falling asleep and I was like, "Hey, I gotta go." And I gave her one kiss and left. And I felt sad that the amount of kisses promised did not equal the amount of kisses delivered. And once again, I felt like a dude who was upset that I did not receive the expected physical kisses I was promised. And I wanted to talk about this because I felt like this has really been expanding my perspective when it comes to dating. I finally understand a lot of the complaints my male friends have about dating that I admit I would usually dismiss. But now I really get it when they say, "Dating is just so expensive, man."
Sometimes I feel like a girl doesn't even like me for me. She just wants like a boyfriend.
I wish it were more socially expected to go Dutch on the first few dates, but you're like a jerk if you even suggest it. And any experience that expands your compassion and understanding is one that I think is worthy of sharing. So what about you?
Now, as you can see from her video, wow, this is what men put up with? How messed up is this? I mean, seriously, how messed up is this that this is what men put up with? Think about that for a minute. Now, this here is a study about how women treat women to women and men to men. And, this also goes into how, men get treated by the legal system and other things. There's just tons of this stuff out here. Now, I can hear the big feminist question. Well, we can sit here and say feminist that, but sadly the truth is...
You cannot deny that feminism is a man-hating ideology.
I can deny that.
What is the core tenet of feminism? The patriarchy theory. Do you believe in the patriarchy?
Yes.
Do we currently live in the patriarchy?
Yes.
Under patriarchy, are women oppressed?
Yes.
Under patriarchy, are men oppressors?
Yes.
So are you oppressed?
In some ways.
How?
One form of oppression that all women face is subjugation in the form of their sexuality. I think that women are forced to perform their sexuality.
What do you mean by perform their sexuality?
Like, I think that women become sexual objects in the eyes of the patriarchy. I think that a lot of men view themselves that way, and I think that a lot of women are comfortable viewing themselves that way.
Well, that sounds like zero accountability to me. You're putting the blame on men for women sexualizing themselves.
Now, we can all sit here and agree with Brian that, most modern women have no accountability for themselves. And, this is something that men say a lot. Is it true? Well, from my personal experience, it depends from woman to woman, sadly. So with that in mind here, if you're a guy, share your experience with how women have treated you down below. Share with us how it's been. Share what you've learned. Go ahead. Tell us. We're here to learn. We're not here to just shout each other down so that way the biggest voice wins here. So in review here, this is why men feel so disenfranchised. Men get blamed for presidents. Men get blamed for this. Men get blamed for that. And then, ironically, once women start putting up with men put up with, suddenly it's like, oh, now I understand. Now, we can sit here and chat along about this. But, you know, this doesn't give us a solution to any of these issues. Now, I can hear a couple guys saying, well, there are no issues until women pull their heads out of their butts and actually sit there and recognize that men are human beings. We have thoughts. We have feelings. You know, we're human. We're not some robot that sits there and just does things for them. Beep, beep, boop, boop. Sadly, that's not the case. Now, to be perfectly honest, the best way to change minds here would be to actually have men go out there and, you know, not interview, but actually start showing those positive male traits to sit there and demonstrate to women that, you know, not all men are the same. Every man is different and his life experiences are different here. But is that likely to happen anytime soon? Probably not, sadly. But, you know, like, subscribe, bang that bell. This is Ghost Hunter 385 signing off. I'll see everybody in the next video.